Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. You know, sometimes you just get the feeling that you want to just absolutely smash people with some giant monsters and just be done with it. Well, that's how I feel today. So we are playing the most monster smashy deck that is Mono Red Sneak and Breach. So as the name probably suggests to you all, this is a deck where we run Sneak Attack and Through the Breach to put in big monsters. We have Emrakul the Aeons Torn, Worldspine Wurm, because when this dies, we get a load of worms still. Griselbrand, draw a bunch of cards, have a great time. Archon of Cruelty, smash our opponent's stuff up, have a lovely time. And that's what we're trying to do, basically. Just put these on the stack, put these in the red zone, have a nice time. We have 4 Show and Tell to also help this, and we have 4 Trinisphere to kind of mess with what our opponent's doing. We are a relatively fast mana deck here because we got a whole bunch of fast mana here. Seething Song is particularly important because it takes you up to 5 mana, so that's Sneak Attack and Through the Breach mana, which is perfect. We've got 4 Ancient Tombs and 4 City of Traitors, along with 4 Lotus Petals, 4 Simian Spirit Guides, and a couple of Moxen. So we're really just trying to power out turn 1 or turn 2, get our opponent. I think I've played this once before on the channel and had a real fun time with it, and I've had a busy couple of days. I'm pretty tired, so I wanted to play something where I could just smash and condense my thinking into as smallest chunks of time. So that's what we're doing today. Sideboard-wise, do you need counter spells dealt with? We have Defense Grid. You need creatures dealt with? We got Fury. You need blue spells dealt with of some description? Pyroblast. Now, I think this could possibly be something else, but that's what we settled on today. And you need artifacts and all sorts of stuff dealt with? Well, we got Fiery Confluence for that. And that's pretty much it. So we're looking to smash, and we're looking to smash hard. As early as turn 1. Nothing else to say about this deck, so remember to like and subscribe before we get into it. And if you've got any decks that you want to see me play, by all means get in touch for a donation deck. I charge £15 and you can have whatever deck you want on the channel. As long as I agree to it first. No 4 horsemen, please. Alright, let's just jam some Mono Red Sneak and Breach. I say Mono Red. We got Show and Tell. But we're calling it Mono Red Sneak and Breach. Let's go. If you're looking to play Legacy on MTGO like me, why not try Card Hoarder? They're a rental service that I personally use, and I found them better than other rental services that I've used in the past. So why not give them a try? Alright, our opening hand for round 1 doesn't do the thing, so let's mulligan it. This hand does the thing, so let's keep it. So we have Ancient Tomb into Simian Spirit Guide and Lotus Petal to put this in play. That seems good to me. We have this as a follow-up. I guess we're probably... We do need another red mana though if we're going to keep, if we're going to go for a sneak attack plan. So we probably do need to keep this City of Traitors awkwardly. So maybe it's a Through the Breach goes and we just concentrate on doing our thing and hope our opponent's not going to disrupt us too much. Okay, blue mana. That's not what we want to see, but all right. So if we jam this, I don't really want to burn one of our red sources to make this Trinisphere happen. So I'm just going to pass, and then we're going to do Trinisphere off of the City of Traitors, and then hopefully that'll get out a counterspell, or we'll stop our opponent from being able to counterspell us. And then we can just jam. And usually Griselbrand drawing a bunch of cards would be good enough. A Tundra, okay, so we're less likely to see an Orcish Bowmasters here. Alright. Scalding Tarn, this is a great draw for us here. I think I just want to Snow Covered Mountain looking at our hand here. Let's jam our little friend, the Trinisphere. Oh, we're supposed to play this Lotus Petal out first. That's a massive punt there. Ice Fang, sure. Like, it might not matter, but that is a real awkward punt there. Whoops. I did say I'd been having a busy few days, and that's an embarrassment. Alright. I wasn't really expecting it to resolve, to be honest. We're going to see a prismatic ending here. Never punished. Alright, sure. Friend's got 5 cards in hand. They haven't got a big clock on, so we can kind of just keep jamming. A sneak attack, you say? Another one. Alright. Play this one out. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this will leave us with 1 colourless floating. Can I have a sneak attack, please? We can. Okay. Activate this. Put in a Griselbrand. Draw some cards. Alright, our opponent's off it because we're also going to put an Emrakul in this turn and blow up all of their things. Excellent. So, what would I like for this matchup? I think defense grids are probably a bit of an obvious one. I'm a little bit worried about our opponent having something like a Containment Priest. So they seem pretty creature heavy. So I think I might have some Fury. I'm just trying to work out if there's any permanents other permanents our opponent might have that can bother us. So these are the things I'm kind of interested in. Trinisphere and Defense Grid kind of can do similar, but not quite the same sort of things. We didn't see black mana, so I don't really want to board out Griselbrands, but we maybe have to board down on some stuff here. Let's take out a couple of those. That gets us a couple of defense grids. And then maybe trim a Griselbrand for another defense grid. And this game might end up being a little bit slower, so maybe we can afford to pitch a couple of these less good bits of fast mana and have another defense grid and a little Miser's Fury in case there are some scary creatures we want to blow up. That seems acceptable to me. We can show and tell on turn 2, but it's not going to be great. We do need to find a monster with this hand. How likely do we think that's going to be? I think just the double defense grid means that we get to do our thing eventually and it'll be great. I don't want to play out this City of Traitors on turn 1 though. Alright, so we've got a Fury. That's a thing we can do some stuff with. In the moment, see we can pitch it as well. Alright, we're going to get some action off of our opponent this turn with a defense grid, I imagine. Scalding Tarn, let's crack this. I think this time we will be getting ourselves a Volk. I'm just going to slam this defense grid. They haven't shown us things that would make me think they're a Daze deck. Like Ice Fang is not something you would see in Dazes, so I'm not expecting one here. But we could find something here. They might just be doing a brainstorm now because they were going to do one anyway. Is this defense grid or is it Hymn to Turak? It's Hymn to Turak, sure. Force of Will, pitching Lorien revealed. We get to jam defense grid next turn and try again. Right, we do need a better payoff than what we have right now, but Uro, sure, I don't care. Your life total is probably not relevant. If we get to do our thing, we get to do our thing. All right. It's a lot of spells our opponents cast this turn. So they're going to be left with 3 cards in hand when they pass a turn. Okay, that's a nice one, isn't it? Okay, we'll play this one out. We'll just do a casual defense grid here. You cast spell for this one. So next turn we can annihilate all of our opponent's permanents. If this defense grid stays and our hand is not threatened too much. The other option is to show and tell in the Emrakul. But things like Leyline Binding exist. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so our opponent will have... If they don't put in a land here, that's perfect for us. Okay, they did put in a land. That's not perfect for us. Alright. What are you going to find us, deck? Another Emrakul. Interesting. So, we can jam an Emrakul via show and tell right now. Or we can try and remove all our opponent's permanents and then do a show and tell. Right, this will leave our opponent with an Uro in play or a land in play. I think the correct play is to show and tell here. And if they deal with it, then we just put in the big boy. Okay, address down. Okay. This will sacrifice at end step. And now we have our big scary Emrakul. Can you go all the way, big Emma? Right, we're going to get a free block off here. They're doing this because they want to draw another card. It's not because they're going to be able to put 9 damage on our creature. There's an Uro. They're still digging. The funny thing is, if they do get rid of this, we do just annihilate all their permanents. Alright, there we go. It was going to take us till our turn 5 to effectively kill our opponent, but not bad. Got 3 counter spells, had a lovely time. Let's go to round 2. Our hand requires a monster. They've shown us a Gyruda. Interesting. Trinisphere is going to be good against them if they're a Gyruda deck, I believe. So I'm going to keep this. And rely on the Trinisphere. And we'll get monsters, right? We've got loads of monsters in the deck. You've got to believe. We can jam a turn 1 Trinisphere if we want to. Which I think I do, because they've shown us a Gyruda. Now, it's a bit awkward having a City of Traitors as our mana here. But shutting down a deck that I expect is going to be something like Bomberman of some description is really important. A Bloodstained Mire, you say? I think we are just playing out our lands now, as awkward as that may appear. If we can show and tell our opponent they might have something good in their deck. But it shouldn't be as good as the things we're putting in, right? But we do need to find a monster here. Would love to find a delicious monster. An Urza's Saga. Okay, that's a game plan that our opponent can execute. We're going to see a 3-drop here? Or is it something that costs less? It's just like a Chalice maybe or something. The way they're paying the mana for it. Chalice for 1. That is not going to impact our deck. That's not how we came to game. A Seething Song. Okay. Like, if we get a monster, it's coming at our opponent's face, that's for sure. Maybe our deck should be running Sticker Goblin. But it's not a reliable source of 5 mana is the problem. It's like a source of 4 to 6 mana. I think Seething Song is definitely better for us because that's the exact amount we need. But maybe additional copies of Seething Song and Sticker Goblin. But then you have to work out what you take out for that, and I'm not sure. Maybe our hand was too slow to keep here. I'm going to crack this Bloodstained Mire now. Snake of a mountain here. Big monster. Not a big monster. No, we're getting punished for this one. But our opponent is Red-White Bomberman, I'm pretty sure. So I'm curious to see what they get off this Saga. It might just be the Shadow Spirit. We're going to crack this now for purposes of Pithing Needle. Let's get this Volk now. So we can't be Wastelanded off. I don't think our opponent's playing Wasteland, but weirder things have happened. Alright. Where is my Emrakul? So they're going to make a guy. They're going to get an artifact. They're going to have a large guy that might be attacking us this turn if they've got another land. But if we can draw Big Emma, then we're going to have a lovely time. Nice. Archon of Cruelty is also fine. Worldspine Wurm also fine. Griselbrand, less fine, honestly, because our life total is very much a resource that we can't afford to leverage too heavily. Right, they went for a mana source here. Right, City of Traitors. Take a little bash for 4. Next time we're going to be taking 8, possibly 10. So we'll have another draw step after this as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they'll be left with 1 permanent. So their constructs will be small if they keep a construct. It'll be a 1-1. So if we can find an Emrakul, I think we can win this game. Alright, we're going to see another play from our opponents here. Khan the Great Creator. Fine for what we're trying to accomplish here. What are they going to reveal? Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Cool. Can we please draw a monster? No, I guess we can't. Okay. We are being punished for this keep. Maybe we're supposed to mulligan to a thing that does our thing, rather than keeping a hand that can suppress our opponent. Yeah, I think we just made a mistake on this one. 2, 4, 6. So our opponent can just get Lattice Lock this turn, and they won't get to see what our deck does apart from play Trinisphere. No, they're not going to Lattice Lock us? I'm not interested. Or maybe they're doing it in a different order here. Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Sure, they have quite a lot of permanents now. Enter Sworn Canonist. Okay, that's not going to impact what we're trying to accomplish either. But they are going to bash us for 12 here. So our Ancient Tomb is off, but we don't need that anyway. We just played it out because why not? Big Emma's not good enough on this board anymore. They could have Lattice Locked us this turn, but decided not to. Show and tell. Alright. We probably shouldn't have kept that hand, but we're odds on to draw a monster. But... Alright, this is the matchup where I would like to play my Fiery Confluences. Now, what would I like to not play is the question. I don't think Show and Tell is going to be the worst here. They've got loads of 0 drops that they've shown us, so we definitely do want the Trinispheres. They can probably trim on maybe a Griselbrand. Just sort of... I guess we'll trim on these little bits of mana. Maybe a Through the Breach can go. And just rock like this. Right, we need to keep a hand that does the thing. Let's just ignore what our opponent does. And just do our thing. What does our hand do? It's certainly not the thing. Let's mulligan. Let's get a faster hand. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we can put an Archon of Cruelty into play on turn 1. Is that good? 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is this. So we'll have no red mana, but we will have a draw effect. Is turn 1 Archon of Cruelty good? I don't actually think turn 1 Archon of Cruelty is that good. So I'm going to put this Lotus Petal back. And I'm just going to begin the game on a Bloodstained Mire. So I've got a persistent source of red mana, and then we can turn 2 sneak attack. And maybe pick something up with this Archon of Cruelty. I don't think our opponent's going to play Chalice on 0, given their deck is full of 0s. They don't know what we're playing though, so... Alright, yeah, you can have a little Chalice. That suits me just fine. Fiery Confluence. That's going to be good later on. Let's get ourselves... I think it's just a basic here. No, just our opponent... No, the opponent's not going to play Blood Moon with their own Urza Sagas. Let's not be silly about that. Right, so let's play this out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, this is just drawing a card and hitting our opponent for a bit. Is that even worth doing right now? I don't think it is. I think we'll get the sneak attack down. And then we can always sneak in an Archon of Cruelty without getting attacked if we just need to kill something. Something's going wrong. But I would like to get a little bit of value off of this. And this way we can still do our Fiery Confluence if that's the thing we need to do. A Walking Ballista for 2. Okay, that's not very exciting. Be my guest opponent. Alright, so now we actually have something to get rid of. So we can go sneak attack, pay red, put in the Archon of Cruelty. Boom. So they're going to ping us for 2 here. But we're going to have a good time. Yep, there's the 1. And if we find another fatty, we can stick it in off of this sneak attack. Because we have the Spirit Guide. Show and tell. That's not the one, is it? Okay, we do get to draw another card and put our opponent to a very low life total with these Ancient Tombs hanging around. Interesting. Very interesting. This will put our opponent to 2. So they can't tap either of their Ancient Tombs. If we play Trinisphere, our opponent basically doesn't get to play anything and we just have to draw a monster. Is that fine? That seems fine. That's got to be fine, right? So we put our opponent in a bit of a bind, but we will need to find another monster. But our opponent can't tap either of their lands, and they're going to have to wait. This can get them a Pithing Needle to shut down our sneak attack eventually. Seething Song. Okay. So we can now cast our Fiery Confluence as well, if we need to blow some stuff up. This is a sorcery, though. We could have just killed our opponent right then. What are we doing? I forgot about the deal damage to opponent mode. Whoops. Should have just tried to kill our opponent. Oh. Yeah, we can do all of these things. Alright, let's put in this guy. Let's cast this. 2 damage to each opponent. Alright. They'll know that we had one of those cards before. But they might not have known that we had the Seething Song or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's what we've gone for. We got that one. We just need to roll it back again. Do I want a Griselbrand back in our deck to be a little bit faster? Not sure we do. Like, I think the trump card of Fiery Confluence in this matchup feels very strong. I think a lot of the time Archon of Cruelty is going to be better than Griselbrand as well. Not always, obviously, but enough. If we'd have kept a good hand in the first round, in the first game, we might have been able to put this match away entirely. But our opponent probably missed sideboarded for that game because they didn't see very much. 1 mana, 2 mana, 3 mana, 5 mana, play this, put this in. Okay, yeah, sure. We have an Archon of Cruelty that we can fire in, which is quite a big exchange of resources. Let's see what our opponent goes for here. Agatha's Soul Cauldron. So we can strip 2 cards out of our opponent's hand if we want to. Okay, I think we just lead off on the mountain. Are we jamming Seething Song right now? Or again, are we waiting? Is that a fool's errand? No, I think we can wait to get a little bit of value. Our opponent's deck isn't going to just win in one big turn this early in the game, I don't believe. Alright. There is City of Traitors. Naming human. So, what are they going to play here? A Lion's Eye Diamond. Alright. A little bit worried about that. A Mox Opal. Oh, we just dead this turn. Maybe we are dead. Khan, the Great Creator. That is annoying given some of the things that we're trying to accomplish with our hand right now. I would like to find a soul land. That would be aces here. And we can kill the Khan, drain them for some cards, have a lovely time. I'm all about having a lovely time today. Oh no. What is this? An ensnaring bridge. Alright, that's not the end of the world. Trinisphere. We will need to find another mana before we get to do the things we want to do here. Any single mana source off the top unlocks our Fiery Confluence. Okay, so I think they win the game now, right? They get Walking Ballista off of the Khan, and then the Khan kills us, right? Because it will have the abilities of... Yeah, have the abilities of the... Well, actually, no, they need more mana for this, right? They don't have quite enough mana to kill us immediately. But they can kill us next turn, I believe. Walking Ballista, yeah. So they can play Walking Ballista for 2 here, but they won't have the mana to bring back the Lion's Eye Diamond yet. They need 1 more turn. If they play this out, we could end up Archon of Crueltying it. Alright. So next turn we die. We need to find a mana source. Pretty sharpish. That's a doozy. Yeah, we're just dead to this. Our opponent can almost certainly execute their combo. I believe they have that ability within them. Maybe we were supposed to Archon of Cruelty on that turn. Maybe they'll fear Mindbreak Trap. Which is certainly something that you can play in a sideboard of this deck. Not convinced it's what we should be playing, but... Alright. Let's see them execute their combo. Alright, yeah. So what they do is they get the Lion's Eye Diamond back here. Play the Lion's Eye Diamond. And then they just rinse and repeat until we die. And then they put all the counters on here. So we're going to concede to save our opponent time. They definitely have to win here. If we'd have done the Archon of Cruelty, they'd have had 1 less card in hand. So this would have been slightly more difficult to piece together. But yeah, that was a bit of an awkward one. I think we lost this one in the first game where we decided to keep a hand to sort of suppress our opponent's like 0-drop deck. Because they can't win regularly. Like they can't do their combo through a Trinisphere. Was the logic I was going for, and thought we'd find a monster. But we should probably just mulligan to making a monster. Also, if this was like a Griselbrand, we would have been better off as well, putting that in on turn 1 and drawing a bunch of cards. So maybe we should be keeping those more. Alright, let's go to round 3. Our opening hand doesn't put a monster in, so I guess we're going to mulligan to do our thing. This hand is a little bit slow. We've got monsters, and we've got mana, but this is going to be a turn 4 monster. We've got a lot of fast mana that can make it a bit quicker. We're supposed to go lower than this. Alright, our hand doesn't do anything here. Let's go lower. Okay. 4 cards we have to keep from this one, I guess. So I suppose that's Ancient Tomb, Show and Tell, Bloodstained Mire, and what? Probably not Seething Song in here. Probably don't need the snow-covered mountain. Probably don't need Through the Breach, I guess. We just rely on the Show and Tell. We've got to find a monster here. Yeah, this is not a great situation for us. Maybe we should have kept that one that had the turn 4 Through the Breach and maybe try and draw into some mana. But I'm not convinced that was a winner in the current world of Legacy, to be honest. Oh boy, are they going to Thoughtseize us? No, they're going to play an Ignoble Hierarch. Alright. That's not a Thoughtseize. That's nice, at least. Okay, we have a plan. We have a plan. It's put in Big Emma on turn 2. Are we supposed to fetch this around Opposition Agent? I don't think so. It is awkward if they do have an Opposition Agent. But if they do nothing with their mana, then that's also not the worst for us. We can maybe have another turn. I think they're going to commit something to the board this turn. Gemstone Caverns. That's a bit of a red flag, isn't it? Not attacking us. Feels like we can get blown out by Opposition Agent. Oh no. Do we play into it? Like, it's either Bowmasters or Opposition Agent. But if it's Opposition Agent, if it's Bowmasters, they probably attack with the Hierarch. So I think we just pass here. It's just an Endurance here. Alright, we'll crack this now. Like, they might still have the Opposition Agent. They might have multiple choices of plays, or they might have Bowmasters and Endurance, but they're going for Endurance now because they know it gets to mess with us. It gets to beat down for more damage. This gets to attack for 4 with the Hierarch, whereas Bowmasters would be attacking for 2. Verdant Catacombs. Not a Wasteland. That's important. They natural order us now into an Atraxa. That's a little bit annoying, but can live with that. Emrakul is better than Atraxa. Maybe we played this one too cautiously. We were supposed to slam. 2 mana. Okay. Green Sun Zenith for 1. This is going to be another mana talk, I suspect. So, like... Okay, just Elvish Reclaimer. It's going to be a Fiend Artisan. It is going to be a Fiend Artisan. Okay. So the Elvish Reclaimer can't get a Caracas immediately. So we can show and tell in the Emrakul before they get to spin up a Caracas. But I'm not sure what they're going to spin up with a Fiend Artisan. Cradle could be pretty bad news for us. Sneak attack, you say? Well, I'm down for sneak attacking on this board. That feels like a good place for us to be. Let's cast a sneak attack. Alright, let's put in Big Emma. Here she comes. Our opponent will be left with 1 permanent at the end of this. What permanent would you like? They could keep everything... They could just keep the Fiend Artisan and just try and beat us down over a few turns because our life total is a bit low. I think that might be the play here. And then we're just playing our monsters off the top of our deck versus the time it takes them to kill us with Fiend Artisan, which is going to be like not that many turns, right? Because this could be a 4-4, so it'll be 4, 8, 12, 16. Yeah, they've gone for the play. Fortunately, we are on 13 life, which is very different to 12 life on this board state. Emrakul shuffles itself in, and now we hope. Alright, they've got Dryad Arbor going. They bash for 4 here. Any of the creatures in our deck will win us the game. That's not one of the creatures in our deck. Alright, I think we cast a Trinisphere though. Stops our opponent committing more things to the board. Any creature. That's all we want. They're getting for 5, and then they're getting for 5 again. And that's going to be lethal. So Trinisphere doesn't really slow them down, but it stops some random shenanigans from blowing us out, maybe. Okay, there's the Windswept Teeth. Let's get in the red zone with the Dryad Arbor. Can we draw an Emrakul? Or any other creature? Any creature. Any creature. Come on, deck. Actually, not any creature. Assuming Spirit Guide wouldn't have done it. Yeah, we just die. Yuck. Alright. Maybe we should have showed and telled in the Emrakul. Alright. Cards that are good in this matchup. Fury and Fiery Confluence. Cards that are not great in this matchup. Trinisphere, pretty lame. I'm not really into these. I know these fast manas are kind of useful and help us go on turn 1 a bit more often. But I feel just having these useful spells is unsurprisingly more useful. Maybe we're supposed to board out one of these. Although I guess we're boarding in creature removal in the Furies and stuff. So, and the Fiery Confluence can sweep up a whole bunch of their board. Do I want... No, I don't really want Chrome Mox and stuff when they're going to be getting Collectorous all up in our business. Let's just have these Furies and Fiery Confluence. Like, a Fury on its own can kind of just win this game a lot of the time. Like, we just ramp out like a turn 2 Fury after they've played a couple of mana dorks. Then that might just be enough and we can just be on our merry way. Our hand requires a bit of mana to do something. I think we're going to mulligan. We can kill a lot of guys, and if we find any monster, we're good. Actually, we can't kill a lot of guys. We've got no red mana. What am I talking about? Alright, this is another mulligan. We just need 1 land. We do have the sneak attack to keep us going. Let me keep this. 2 cards on the bottom of our library. I guess the Emrakul has to go. Kind of reluctant to get rid of the Fury, but we need the land. We also need the show and tell. Yikes. Our opponent's probably going to be hitting us with discard as well. And it's tough. We could just put in Emrakul. I do think Griselbrand is a better thing to put in, given our diminished resources. Get rid of this, and I guess it has to be sneak attack. And then if we draw a red card, we can do stuff with Fury. I don't like it, but it's the bed we made for ourselves with this deck. This should be sort of like our bread and butter matchups of just these sort of like green-black dirty decks that don't have counter spells we can just kind of roll into. Right, are we going to get Thoughtseize this turn and ruin our day? Feels like that's what's going to happen. Here it comes. Yep. Yeah, just too many mulligans. There goes the show and tell. Right, we have another show and tell, so the plan's back on. We just need a mana source. If our opponent wastelands us, we're in Dirtsville. But we could find a soul land, and that gets us there as well. Noble Hierarch, sure. Okay, green mana. Allosaurus Shepherd. Alright. I can live with those things. A sneak attack. We could just Fury down both of their guys right now. Honestly, I think that's where we need to be. Just stunt their growth a little bit. Like, if we can do our thing, we get to gas up in a big way. So just keeping our life total healthy is just more cards later on down the line. This also gives us more turns, because they could have natural ordered like an Atraxa or something. And then we're going to have a bad time. Right, another Noble Hierarch. So we might have got more juice from the squeeze from that Fury. But okay, yeah, Cradle, yeah. So I'm pretty glad that we Furied there. Come on, deck. Give us any mana source and let us get our boy going. We found any mana source. What is this? Once Upon a Time. Okay, they're trying to find a scary monster of their own. They do run a Traxxas in their deck, I believe. Fiend Artisan. Okay, that's not the scariest thing in the world. They might put something else in there. Okay, they did just put the Fiend Artisan in. I would like to gas up. We could go again here if things go well for us. Or we could just do this. We just get rid of Through the Breach. Say goodbye to your board, opponent. These Furies are so good. We don't need to draw another card here. We can just pass the turn. And the next turn we can Griselbrand in... sorry, not Griselbrand. Seething Song, sneak attack in. A Worldspine Wurm and give our opponent a real bad time. Gemstone Caverns. It's probably not the one. Seething Song. Seething Song. Sneak attack. Worldspine Wurm. Put an Archon of Cruelty as well. Put this guy in. Alright, they're scooping up. I wanted to get the not Mox Monkey, the Simian Spirit guy getting in there. Alright, sideboard and wise, I'm pretty happy with these Furies, pretty happy with Fiery Confluence. Let's just roll it back. I don't think this hand is fast enough. I think we can do better. Our next hand is okay. I think we can keep this on. We can sweep out a bunch of their guys. We've got a Fury that we can just put in as a guy if we need to. And honestly, I don't hate just putting in a Fury. Let's keep this, and we're probably going to pitch off this. This is Through the Breach. We're just going to cast a Fury, or Show and Tell it in. Our opponent has mulligan to 5 cards, so this Fury, if it gets 2 for 1, will be absolutely savage. We can also Fiery Confluence and sweep away all their little mana dorks, and that's going to be savage too. We're just set up to have a pretty good time. Let's see what they mulligan to. They're going to have a 1-drop because their deck is full of them. Are we looking at a Thoughtseize against us? Possibly. No, just a mana dork. A Green Sun's Zenith for a Dryad Arbor. Alright. So he's going to lead out on a Volcanic Island. Unless something changes dramatically with our hand here. Okay, no, we just lead this off. And then next turn we can either Fiery Confluence, take away all their guys, or Show and Tell in a Fury and take away all their guys. We'll see how many guys we can take away. They know we're running Fury in our deck, which is kind of awkward for them. Misty Rainforest. 2 mana. A Fiend Artisan, sure. He's got 2 cards over there. A Lotus Petal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can just hard cast a Fury here. And that honestly feels pretty good. Put 3 on the old Fiend Artisan, just in case they could do something to grow it randomly. But alright, we now have 6/6, well, not 6, a 3/3 double striker. So we have 6 power coming in. And we can do some show and tell lines soon. We can... Any red source gives us a Fiery Confluence at the cost of our City of Traitors. We could always show and tell in a sneak attack. It's always a fun one to do. Elvish Reclaimer. This actually trades with our Fury, which is kind of awkward. Grist the Hunger Tide. Are they just going to sacrifice their Dried Arbor to kill our Fury? Feels like they are. Or are they just going to make a token and block? No, they're just going to not mess about with it and get rid of it. Fair enough. Alright, that's a little bit upsetting, but I can live. Through the Breach. It's not really the one we want, is it? Our opponent's got no cards in hands. This feels like a good time to show and tell in the sneak attack. So, any monster, we're live. Red source, we can not do that much, to be honest. We just need a monster. They can fetch a Caracas, possibly, in the near future, which will be a real pain for us, because then our legendary creatures aren't good. Although, Griselbrand will obviously draw us a bunch of cards and be probably fine. This Grist will slowly bury us. Although I'm not sure how slowly the slow burying is going to be. So our opponent going to come in for damage here. While we're holding up some sort of activation with a Reclaimer. I like how it is a resource we get to leverage, so... A Fury, you say? Yeah, that seems good to me. Let's sneak attack in a Fury. Okay, 2 onto this. 1 onto this, 1 onto this. The reason for this is that their Reclaimer can't block now because it'll get killed by the first strike. Right, they're going to spend their mana on anything? Right, they're turning their Cradle into something more profitable for them. Right, this is going to take a third of our opponent's life total away. And will importantly put them into dead range from Worldspine Wurm or Emrakul. We haven't seen the Worldspine Wurm do very much yet. It'd be nice to draw one on our next turn, in fact. I think that this deck should have 4 Furies in the sideboard, to be honest. Our opponent attacking. They are not. Wonder what their plan is for this Reclaimer. A City of Traitors to replace our other City of Traitors. I guess we're just passing the turn. We've got 6 damage loaded up into this Fiery Confluence. If we draw a red source, then we are odds on... Well, we're not odds on, but we are able to do double Fiery Confluence if we draw them to kill our opponent. Might just see something like an Endurance here, just as a threat. But I have to imagine they're activating their Reclaimer, because otherwise, why wouldn't you have attacked with it? Yeah, here we go. Turning a Forest into a Dried Arbor, probably. Or a Caracas. We'll see. A Gemstone Caverns. Is that just to thin out their deck and they're going to sacrifice that one as well? Odd. An odd choice. Once upon a time. What would you like to reveal to me, opponent? Gemstone Caverns. An Ignoble Hierarch. So they can play this and bash us for 4, I believe. Or maybe not. Cradle's pretty big news. No, they still just want to go and fetch some lands out of their deck. Interesting. Like, our Fiery Confluence doesn't do what we need it to do here. We can kill an Ignoble Hierarch. It's not really good enough, is it? Alright, we're passing again. This is the downside of not playing fully into blue. We're literally just splashing for the show and tell. So we are pretty vulnerable to just not having anything in our hand that's useful. We can't search out the A and the B. Alright, Lair of the Hydra. That does some reasonable damages. It's not really one we get to interact with either. How big is this one going to be? 5. So it's going to attack us for 6. Or they're going to attack us for 8. They should be attacking us for 8 here. Sure. Alright. Let's try and draw something good again. Through the Breach. Feeling a little bit mocked. If they play another Cradle here, that's 2 mana. So they attack us for 8 last turn. Attack us for 9, 10. No, I don't think we need to do this Fiery Confluence. It comes at the cost of our Seething Song, which might end up being relevant somehow. Like they could Pithing Needle or get rid of our sneak attack in some way, so we might need to through them breach a creature. We have one more draw step, as long as our opponent doesn't do something wild to kill us this turn. They could natural order into Crate Hoof here, if they have that. But they only have one card in hand, so... If they've got the Lair of the Hydra when they got the Gemstone Caverns, they could have been threatening lethal this turn instead of next turn. That's definitely a weird one. What is this from our opponent? Right, our opponent's now untapped the creatures they tapped in the mana. They only have one card in hand, so I'm not really sure what the difficult decision here is. But I guess we'll find out. So this makes sense to me as a thing because we're dead next turn rather than this turn anyway, so I don't need to tap out there of the Hydra. Although this is going to put us to 8, which is a life total where we get to Griselbrand. As I have Bowmasters, then fair enough. But let's have a look and see what we find. What is this? 4 mana in our Force of Vigor. Okay, so this is the exact scenario I said, though I didn't want to do the Force of the Seething Song play. A Bloodstained Mire. What do we do? If we kill this Ignoble Hierarch, they have 1 mana, 2 mana, 3 mana, 4 mana. So the Lair of the Hydra attacks for 3, and the other Spirit Guide attacks for 3. So that'll buy us another turn. Okay, I'll do this, I guess. Might as well just get a Volk here. Doesn't really make much of a difference. So 1 damage to each creature, 2 damage to each opponent. That makes sense to me. If they draw a land, they kill us. But if we did nothing, they kill us. So we've given ourselves a fighting chance here. I didn't really like the timing of their Force of Vigor either. Like, you just do it when you're going to do it, right? Right, attacking with a 3/3 here. We've also put them lethal to any of our creatures. Okay, fire this up. Bash us for 6. And we have one more draw step. Can we find a monster? Would be nice too. There's a lot of them in our deck. Is it time for a monster? It's not time for monster. Yeah, so we got Dunzo there. We just couldn't draw another monster when we needed to. This matchup feels like a great one, to be honest. But just on the wrong side of the knife there. Maybe we should have... If we'd have led out with the Fiery Confluence instead of the Fury, that might have been slightly better. But I don't know. Alright, let's go to round 4. We're on the play. Our hand doesn't function. This hand makes a turn to Emrakul. I guess we keep turn to Emrakuls, right? I guess we put back the Through the Breach. If our opponent showed us some Stormy type stuff on turn 1, then maybe we have to Trinisphere just to live. Alternatively, if they show us counter spells, we might have to Trinisphere to stay alive. Because we have one shot here and it's Show and Tell. Tropical Island. Okay, so probably casting Trinisphere just to stop counter spells from ruining our day, and it might just bait out a counter spell. And then hopefully we can untap and slam an Emrakul into play. I think that is better than just going for it here. I guess the worst punish is if our opponent counters this and then wastelands us. That would be a bad time, but let's just rock and roll. Like, our hand kind of does one thing, really, so let's slam a Trinisphere, see if it's any good. Force of Will, pitching an Uro. Alright. So we're probably going to be playing against a deck that's going to give us a decent amount of time to do our thing. So we're just going to play this Trinisphere out as if it were a defense grid. Tundra. Up the Beanstalk. Yep. You can go up the Beanstalk. Let's Trinisphere again. Second time's a charm, maybe? Alright. So now we can hopefully Show and Tell in peace unless our opponent just plays a land and does nothing. Now, Show and Tell might not be good enough because our opponent's deck is quite likely to contain a Solitude. Island cycling. Alright, our opponent's not casting any spells this turn cycle. That's lovely for us. But they could put in a Solitude and give us a bad time. Show and tell, please. Put in Big Emma. Sure, they had a Leyline Binding. That really sucks for us. At least the Trinisphere is achieving something here. Let's cast a 3-mana Lotus Petal. Save that mana up. We don't have any way of blowing up this Leyline Binding to get our Emrakul back. That's not true, actually. We can Annihilator it, and then they can sack the Leyline Binding. Then we get our thing back, which will then Legend Rule. But we just keep the one that's attacking, so it's not the end of the world. But yeah, our only way of blowing those up is Emrakul. Alright, Trinisphere's gone. Our opponent is in command of this game. They've got full grip of cards. They've got Caracas as well. Oh, it's a tough day to be us, I think. Second main phase, what we're seeing here. They're just prismatic ending our Lotus Petal. That's fine. It's not a problem. Through the breach, that's part of the puzzle. We need to find a large monster. Griselbrand is probably the best monster we can find. Just gas up on cards and be able to go as many times as we need to. Simian Spirit Guide. That's not something to put in with Through the Breach, so not the monster we were looking for. I think it's safe to say that Simian Spirit Guide has won his fair share of games over the years. Sometimes even by attacking. I guess we could have played it to attack with, but that doesn't seem like where I want to be. This allows us to pay for a Flusterstorm, perhaps. Bristol. Alright. Our opponent is drawing some cards. Just brainstorm there. Okay, this looks like a 4th Eolingus, so the clock has been thrown down against us here. Yep. And they're going to be drawing a million cards. Feels like maybe Blood Moon should be in our deck. Ancient Tomb, you say? Honestly, I think this is worth playing out. I don't think we're winning this game. Alright, they're playing something else. It's an Uro, so that's going to come into play for realsies next turn. That's going to be good. They're still keeping up a bunch of white mana as well, so I'm fully expecting any creature we put into play to get killed. So Worldspine Wurm won't get its dice trigger. And that'll be sad as well. It's a very sad state of affairs, this game. More Beanstalks. Yep, our opponent is never going to run out of cards. Seething Song. Well, we have lots of mana, but nothing to do with it. So this turn they play the Uro and attack us for 4, and then the turn after we die. We can chum block with the Simian Spirit Guide. The cost of 2 life. Effectively plus 4 life on that transaction because it will block the Uro. But the chance of them having a removal spell for it seem about 100% at this stage. So we'll just take our draw. If it's not a big monster, we'll pack it in. Yep, there's Uro. Our opponent's life total is very healthy. A Simian Spirit Guide is not the one. Let's just throw this away. Right, let's go to sideboarding. I would like some defense grids here. That'll probably do. I think we'll board out some of this mana that gets hit by so many things that our opponent can have. I think the Archon of Cruelty can go. And we'll probably Trimmer Through the Breach. Our opening hand makes a turn 2 sneak attack. Sorry, a turn 3 sneak attack if we find some more mana. I think we need better, have some protection or something. Yeah, this one seems a little bit better. We don't have to get jammed up by a Leyline Binding but as much this hand. We do have to throw something back actually, which is a little bit on the awkward side. I think we keep this. And then what are we throwing away here? I don't really like this Show and Tell. I think this Show and Tell is the one we're going to get rid of. We're going to go for Trinisphere into Sneak Attack. So our opponent going to draw one of their Wastelands. I think they usually have like one Wasteland in their deck. Right, that's not Wasteland. But that doesn't mean they don't have one. So we're going to go get a basic Mountain here. And try a Trinisphere. Next turn we can Seething Song, Sneak Attack, Emrakul, blow up all their permanents, and hope for the best. We got one of Caracas in their deck that we really want to dodge. Alorian revealed. Okay. Alright, we're in with the Trinisphere. Jetma's Garden. Okay. Another monster? Not another monster. Is it worth blowing up 2 of our opponent's lands right now? I think it is. This makes our Trinisphere way stronger as well. Alright. They've seen enough. Good. Let's give that another go, I suppose. Am I supposed to just keep as many threats in as possible just to keep the consistency of our deck? That is an interesting choice, just so we are more likely to be able to do the thing. Take a turn off. I don't think we can board out any more mana here, though. No, I think we're okay where we're at. Show and Tell does feel pretty obnoxious against our opponent. With their Leyline Bindings just wrecking our day. This is a slow hand that requires us to find some monsters, but has an awful lot of protection. Considering how much I've been struggling to find monsters, I want to mulligan this one. This one needs to find a payoff, but has a lot of protection. Is that better than trying to find a monster? We don't have a lot of mana sources here. I think I will keep. And... yikes. Our hand does not line up mate. I think the Trinisphere can go here. Because the Trinisphere could be dangerous. But we're on the draw, so we might have another land here. We've got a lot of decent draws. Ancient Tomb is pretty reasonable. Oh, slap down this defense grid. This can get prismatic ending, though. The other option with the defense grid is to wait until we're closer to going off and then try and do the defense grid and the stuff. We're a little bit pressed for mana, but we got the Hymns of Turak out of it. Which is something. So we're looking for Through the Breach or Sneak Attack or Show and Tell. Any of those, please, deck. Caracas. Caracas. Okay, we need to adjust our plan. Because this Emrakul will do nothing. We found the Sneak Attack. Very funny deck. The turn after they play a Caracas. I don't want to just play the Sneak Attack out because we can expose it to removal, like Leyline Binding, or even a Prismatic Ending for 4, which their deck is very capable of. I want to try and do it all in one turn. Up the Beanstalk. Yep. Our opponent... ooh, they didn't play a land, which means the hand is just full of permission. Could be a tough one. Alright, given this, I'm going to get a Volcanic Island and deploy a Simian Spirit Guide to beat down with. If we can get our opponent below, if we get to 15 or below, then it means a Worldspine Wurm can be lethal in one hit, or an Emrakul can be lethal in one hit. I think our opponent's got counter spells, that's why I didn't just jam the Sneak Attack there. Not revealed, because they told us that their hand was full of spells. And what spells they're going to have here? They're not going to have that much of their removal at this point. It's just going to be Force of Negations and stuff. Going for it again here. Through the Breach as well, you say. Okay. So let us cast a Sneak Attack into a counterspell. Yep, there's the Force of Will we're expecting. That draws them 2 cards. Sure. Card advantage on your Force of Will. Why not? And attack. Then next turn we can Through the Breach and try and Emrakul then. Depending on what their Caracas is doing. They pitched a Flusterstorm, which means they got Flusters in their deck. Alright, whilst they have this Caracas up, we can't go for anything. Unless we draw a Worldspine Wurm. Not draw a Worldspine Wurm. Just empty the Warrens would be alright, to be honest. Sure, you can take our Sneak Attack. They are never going to tap their Caracas for the rest of this game. Unless we have a legendary creature in play. Our opponent is now below the threshold of life that we want them to be below. So that's obviously we'd rather they be below 0, but we can here's what we can do. I don't think we want to play out another Simian Spirit Guide and give them an easy Supreme Verdict. I don't think that's where I want to be. Also, if they do find a wasteland and just take out our Volcanic Island, we want to at least have our mana to try some of our good spells. A defense grid. Alright, let's go attacks. Hello, defense grid. Not the most protection when they have a lot of mana over there, but it's something. This Worldspine Wurm, never when you want it. Mystic Sanctuary, not enough islands to do anything with it. Alright, Grape Shot for the win, I guess. So many storm spells, or rituals, sorry. I don't think I want to play out this Simian Spirit Guide. I know as soon as I play it out, I'm going to be punished. Like, at some point, they're going to have to do something about our Spirit Guide. They could just play an Uro, which will roadblock it. Up the Beanstalk, sure. We can have 10 mana with what we've got in hand now. So we're not quite at hard casting the Emrakul, but we're not a million miles away. Oh my god. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're pretty close to just hard casting Emrakul, which might throw our opponent for a loop. Might not be very good though, is the problem. What a hand. Yep, more lands from our opponent. Our defense grid is probably doing literal 0 in this matchup. Just means that we can't through the breach in our opponent's turn, I guess. Which is something you sometimes do in their end step. Have they found the Uro? Well, no, they've... okay, they're doing a Lorien Revealed to draw 6 cards. Alright, our opponent has now seen half of their deck. Understood. They're holding up mana for a Force of Will here. But if we draw another defense grid, we can Seething Song, play a defense grid, and that kind of jams up anything they want to do. But they still have the Caracas, so we're not getting through that. We haven't seen Solitude yet. But it's probably in there. A Trinisphere. That still seems real bad for us. Alright. Let's bash with our little friend. I think this time we're just going to cast a Spirit Guide. Maybe we should have done that before. Just put two lethal threats on the board. You're not going to counterspell our Simian Spirit Guide. Maybe we could have threw the breach through the Simian Spirit Guide to get the 2 damage. That seems weird. Alright. We have so much mana. But we just have nothing to do with it. Leyline Binding. You can draw some cards. They're going to have to kill both of our guys, though. Can't crack fetch lands. Well, you can, but that turns off Force of Will. Oh, they're taking out our defense grid. That's interesting. Another Leyline Binding, taking out another guy. They can even have Thassa's Oracle as a win condition in this range. They're drawing so many cards. There's still a 2-2 in play, opponent. You've got to deal with it. They're evoking a Solitude. Okay. Like, it does draw them a bunch of cards, so... Imagine if we drew, like, a creature in our deck full of creatures to put in. What a weird world that would be. Alright, now we can see an Uro. Yep. If they've got a land, they can't put it in because they have a Caracas sometimes. They could bounce their own Uro, but I don't think they're going to do that when they know that we have Through the Breach and Emrakul. Puts them to 5. That's pretty good for them. Yuck. Having a bad time. Stingleton Caracas in their deck has not done us any favours. Like, we can't put in this Emrakul because it doesn't do anything. I don't want to play this Trinisphere. That doesn't help us out. It just means that if we do some sort of Griselbrand line and draw some cards, we just can't play out on petals and things. So. Alright. Or is it to be, opponent? Is it going to be the Uro? There it is. They found their win condition. This is a 2-turn clock. They are down to 17 cards in their library. Up the Beanstalk. Quite the magic card. I wish I was playing the Up the Beanstalk deck right now. Show and tell. This does nothing. Let's scoop. Not scoop. Well, we're going to scoop very soon, but we'll just throw this Trinisphere away. Alright, come on, deck. We've got one time to draw a Worldspine Wurm and hope it does something into our opponent who's got almost their entire deck in their hand. Or they've gone through most of their deck at least. There's 2 Force of Will still in their deck, I believe. God, look at all those permanents in play. There's so much. We can't gain the life off the Griselbrand. Sorry, we can't draw the cards off the Griselbrand. Let's spook our opponent a little bit. So our plan here is to show and tell something in. And... okay, so we can't show and tell and through the breach now. Awkward. We need to pay this mana out. So they got Hydroblast and stuff in as well. We can see here, Force of Will, a Flusterstorm, yeah. Like, we did not have a great time there. This matchup feels awkward. Normally, I don't think it's too bad against control decks. Last time I played this, I smashed through some control decks as well. But in the world of control decks playing Solitude and Leyline Binding, it's really awkward. Our opponent having that Caracas is also a real jam up. Maybe we're supposed to jam that turn they tapped out for the Beanstalk. But it seems so obvious to me that they had a counterspell, because why would you tap out for up the Beanstalk? Unless, why would you tap out your Caracas for up the Beanstalk? Unless you had a push. Maybe it was just like a really good bluff, but I don't know. Alright, we're going to the final round, just looking for the Miserly 2-3. Yeah, 2-3. Oh, this hand doesn't put, this hand does put in a big monster on turn 2, actually, doesn't it? Yeah, we'll keep this one. If they're a blue deck, we can obviously jam the City of Traitors, but if they're the Trinisphere, but okay, Goblin Welder. That's not the most amount of time for us to do things, is it? Alright, a Volcanic Island. Maybe they'll think about counter spells, but I think we're just going to slam the sneak attack on turn 2. I suspect our opponent's playing Painter. The Fable of the Mirror Breaker. They're going to lose a lot of permanents this turn. We're going to have a lovely time. Let's get sneaking. So we take out one of their creatures, then we take out the other one when we attack. Yeah, they've had enough. Painter's Servant, you say. I would like some Fiery Confluences instead of these Trinispheres. I'd also like a couple of Fury instead of these two little bits of mana. And I think that's fine. We're going to keep our solid massive stuff because I don't want to get jammed up by it. But we need to worry about things like Ensnaring Bridge, as well as obviously their combo, which can race what we're doing sometimes. What does our hand do here? We can make a turn 2 Fiery Confluence. Let's do something better than that. What does this hand do? This hand needs 1 mana to make a sneak attack, 1 mana to make a Fiery Confluence. Otherwise it's kind of slow. We do have a lot of fast mana in our deck. Like, just trying to draw mana is probably the best way to keep a hand, so I think we will keep this, and we'll probably bottom... Is it the Worldspine Wurm? I think it probably is the Worldspine Wurm. We want to be able to remove our opponent's permanents, and Worldspine Wurm doesn't really do that, so... Sorry, little worm. Epiphany Needle could be a bit annoying, but we have a Fiery Confluence for that, which is one of the reasons we brought it in. Our opponent's deck is full of artifacts, so we're going to smash them all. Alright, so we put the Worldspine Wurm on the bottom. Our opponent took a long time with their mulligan decision. I think they might have had to go away from the computer and do something. Life happens sometimes, that's alright. Okay. We need a little bit of mana here. And for our opponent not to kill us on like turn 1 or whatever. Fable the Mirror Breaker on turn 1. Okay, that's fine. It's a good card, but we can deal. Alright, so we have a turn 3 Fiery Confluence, which is probably what we're going to go for here. And then we can follow that up with a sneak attack and start putting in some guys. If we find a bit of fast mana to put in the Emrakul, then obviously we'll do that and just destroy everything our opponent has. Alright, and there's a Saga. This is a clock on us because this is Pithing Needle for sneak attack. Or potentially Grindstone to kill us with a combo. A Lotus Petal. We could just sneak attack next turn, or we could blow up 2 of their permanents right now. I think we just sneak attack next turn and put in our Emrakul. And just remove all of our opponent's permanents. Any other piece of fast mana we can put in 2 creatures and have lethal damage. I think that's the sensible thing to do here. Our opponent currently has 5 permanents. So Annihilator 6 should do a lot of work on this board. They're about to go up to 6 permanents. Right, 7 permanents. So we're left with 1 permanent when this is all said and done. Let's crack this, go and get ourselves another... Yeah, another Volk's fine. So Blood Moon us, then whatever. Alright, that doesn't quite get us where we need to go, but it's fine. Sneak attack, here we come. This feels like what a deck's supposed to be doing. Boop. Can I blow up all your permanents, please, opponent? They're making another permanent, so they got less things they have to sacrifice. But next turn we can Fiery Confluence away any artifacts, and then sneak attack in this Archon of Cruelty and win the game. That's the plan anyway. We'll see what they choose to keep here. Right, get rid of some treasures. Get rid of the other saga that isn't going to pop. Alright, and they go to 5 here. So next turn we're basically going to get rid of the rest of our opponent's permanents pretty much. And also kill them with an Archon of Cruelty, so... Not what they want to happen. Yep, this gets a Pity Needle, so they think they're going to be alive. There it is. This game's panning out exactly as I planned. We could just dome our opponent for a bunch as well. I think I would like to destroy the artifact in case something goes wrong. So we may as well just blow these two up. Red, red, 2. I don't know what could go wrong here. Put a guy. Die to the trigger. Alright, so we've got 2-3, and that final game was a real slaughtering of our opponent there. Yeah, let's talk about the deck. So, you know, the deck does its thing, right? It does one thing. It does that relatively reliably. We have 12 of each half of that. We have mana to pump it out. You know, it's pretty fine. Now, the issue we did have, sometimes a little bit of disruption means that stringing together A and B doesn't always work. And we sometimes found out, we did find ourselves actually losing a game after we sneak attacked our opponent, blew up all their stuff with their Emrakul, apart from one thing, and then just couldn't find anything to close the game, which is the problem with these decks. More so in the builds that don't have like the cantrips to find what you're looking for. So is this going to be better than regular Sneak and Show? I do not think so. But it can be more explosive. And in certain situations that will be more helpful to you. I did board out the Mox Diamond and the Chrome Mox a lot, which, I don't know, maybe that's wrong, but it just didn't feel like that's where I wanted to be. I do like possibly the idea of playing Sticker Goblin. Alternatively, you could just play more monsters, like have a couple of Fury main deck, and that would be quite good, because they're just good creatures, right? And putting them in off of a sneak attack or through the breach, or even a show and tell, is still pretty passable, you know. That's going to be able to win some games. I'm not sure about these Pyroblast on our sideboard, because the matchups where you'd normally be bringing them in, you're probably just going to be bringing the defense screen. You don't really have the space to bring in these as well. So you probably would want like another Fury and some Magus of the Moon or Blood Moon. That's probably what I would go for here, and just try and, you know, all the cards in your sideboard are things that are going to lock out a certain aspect of your opponent's deck. So either their lands, if we had the moon, artifacts, counter spells, creatures, right? Simple. And then you choose which one of these you want 4 of and which one you want 3 of. And away you go, really. I think that's probably how I would rebuild this one a little bit. Maybe instead of the Mox and the other 2 Moxes, we could play just some more land. Might not go amiss, to be honest. Or, I don't know. Obviously, there's not the most amount of tinkering you can do with this deck. And if you want to play like a big explosive deck that kind of just does its thing and that kind of just wins you the game, Goblins does that better, I think. I think Goblins is probably the best aggro deck in the format. I don't count like Delver decks as aggro decks. They're tempo decks. It's a bit different. But like dedicated aggro decks, I think the Goblins deck is the best. It also has this plan where you just cast Muxes to win the game. But even if you don't do that, you can still just have explosive turns with the Battlecry Goblins and Sticker Goblins and things. So maybe that's what you really want to play for playing this. It also has redundancy in the form of, you know, just a bunch of card drawing stuff like Ringleaders, Matrix to find you the things you want. You can have a pretty serviceable aggro plan. Obviously, that's not an A plus B combo deck, but there is kind of an A plus B combo deck if you go Sticker Goblin Muxus, right? That's, you know. But that's talking about a different deck. Let's go back to talk about this one. I'm not really sure how you can improve this deck much, apart from like the little tweaks. Maybe having a couple more Worldspine Wurm, because it feels like we need some more non-legendary creatures, right? Just to help out a little bit. I don't think, yeah, this is ever going to be a deck that's going to amaze people. There are like completely mono red builds of this deck that try to run things like I think there's a Koth that basically does sneak attack type things, and then there's Ilhag the Rage Boar, which is like a legend that when it attacks it does sneak attack, but obviously this deck does not need another legendary creature in it. But maybe the Koth works because it's not a creature, I don't think, unless you've got enough devotion. Now, I might be remembering that card wrong, but I'm sure there's... Or maybe it only puts in red creatures, actually. That would be a very different take. Because I know people have played builds of this where they play slightly more prison-y. So it's like a prison deck with sneak attack instead of your regular run-of-the-mill, you know, Goblin Rabble Master and stuff like that. But those cards just win the game better a lot of the time. I think maybe this deck should just be more into trying to kill your opponent on turn 1. So maybe we do not want Trinispheres and we just want some more fast mana and just be like, okay, we're just going to do our thing on turn 1. Can you beat that? No. Okay, good. But you're going to be slightly more at the whim of mulligans, and some other combo matchups might become a little more difficult. I don't know. Like, it's very hard to innovate and build around this when there's not a lot of wiggle room, to be honest. But I think I've spoken enough about this one. And I hope you enjoyed watching me play something a little bit smashy. You know, I've been playing a lot of fiddly decks, I guess you call them, with lots of cantrips and tempo-y decisions and all sorts of stuff. So it's sometimes nice to play something a bit smashy. Like, there's obviously decisions here, and we definitely made some wrong ones. Like, we kept a hand that we shouldn't have kept based on the Trinisphere, when we probably should have just mulliganed for a hand that does our thing. But either way, it's a little bit of a learning curve playing stuff like this, because it's a bit different to what I'm used to playing. Alright, thank you very much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. I also believe that by the time this video goes out, the little giveaway for me hitting 2,000 subs will have been done. So watch out for maybe another announcement video or something like that I'm going to put in. But I will still message the person who has won the contest or whatever. So you don't need to tune in, I guess, to find out who it was. Because if it's you, I'll let you know. Alright, I'm quite tired, so I'm going to go to bed now. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and the support you give me really means a lot. And goodbye.